Hey, Human School podcast friends, Carlos Whittaker here, coming to you not from my studio in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm at an Airbnb. I know the vibe is a little different. My wife did not decorate this place. Here in Southern California this week, we are going to be jumping into a conversation. Remember, this season, Human School is all about being curious. And man, oh man, did I love this conversation with your new friend, Joe. Joe is a guest that I invited his story on here because what I feel like we're missing in our curiosity is sometimes being curious about people that we don't even want to look at. I know if you're anything like me, whenever I come across somebody that is unhoused or homeless, I don't want to make eye contact. Now, why is that? I think a lot of times I don't want to make eye contact because I feel like if I make eye contact, there's going to be something that I cannot do for the person. And they're going to desire something from me that I can't give them, whether it be money or food, and I can't fix the problems and it just feels so overwhelming. So a lot of times I just avoid the eye contact. Listen, Joe is about to change all of our perspectives when it comes to not only seeing people that are homeless, but understanding maybe even where they came from. Joe lived for over a year in his Fiat 500, tiny little car with his wife and 3 kids. Joe is an Instafamilia member. And they lived in their car in Southern California for over a year, sleeping in parks, cooking on a camp stove. But here's the kicker. Joe has a full-time job. Joe's wife had a full-time job. His 3 kids were in school. And they simply were one quick decision, not even decision, they were one moment away from being homeless and they didn't even know it. And they had a hard time finding housing again. The face of homelessness looks different than we think it does. And so Joe is going to really help us today, I think, understand this story, the story of homelessness in a new perspective, with a new perspective. So sit back and enjoy this incredible conversation that I think is paradigm shifting with Joe Pollock. Okay, Joe, first of all, thanks for being on Human School. Thanks for being our guest lecturer today. I'm so pumped that you're with us. Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a good opportunity to be able to share, things that we've gone through to be able to help other people.
Yeah, no, that's great. Speaking of things that you've gone through, can you take us back to the moment that you got the call about your daughter's situation? Which to me sounds kind of like the beginning of this next season of your life. What was going through your mind? How quickly did you decide to take action? Tell us a little bit about what was happening then.
Well, I was working. I had a normal life at home with my wife and 3 boys, and my daughter's this daughter was in a large Army base in Georgia. And, I got a message really, that stated, hey, this is what's going on. And then she called me like a day later and said, there's been some domestic violence situation. My, husband is now he's not in, I guess what they would call a brig, but he's in the barracks,
wow.
which is a step below. My understanding is a step below going into jail. And so they were separated. Obviously it took me probably about a week to make the arrangements, but I flew to Atlanta and then Columbia. And we spent probably the weekend. This was on a Friday. So we spent the weekend, packing up her life.
Yeah, wow.
Which
now,
is...
was she in the military or was she married? She was like married to the military?
She was married to the military. She had been in the military, but because her husband was in the military, she had to get out.
Yeah. Yeah.
They wouldn't. So yeah, she was stationed there with her husband.
Okay.
And yeah, so I got there like a Friday night. Of course, I had the idea that we're going to pack up and leave on Sunday, but wasn't realistic. So we ended up leaving on Monday. packed up her Jeep and my grandkids, and we drove to California.
From Georgia.
From Georgia.
And how many grandkids?
3.
3 grandkids.
Yeah.
And your daughter and you.
And my daughter.
Full car
and 3 dogs.
Oh my gosh, 3 dogs. So hold on. What car? You're in a Jeep, you said?
We're in a Jeep Patriot.
Okay.
That's
Jeep
what
Patriot.
she had. Yeah.
Wow.
They were in the package area, if you want to call it that, which is not big. And these are big dogs. So
wow.
That's what we had to do.
Yeah. And so you drive now at this point, you had a job. Were you working in California?
Yeah. Yeah. So thankfully I had time off. I was working at a community mental health agency in Riverside, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so that I was working there. I had time off. I took it. Said I had to go. I was basically gone only a couple of days from work because of the weekend.
And what were you doing there, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I'm a mental health therapist by profession.
Okay.
We deal with our agency deals with a lot of kids who are in the foster care system.
Okay.
We deal with people who need mental health services but can't, don't have $150 an hour to shell out. So we provide those services to them. And that's what I was doing. That's what I'm still doing.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's great. So what, again, here I am just trying to learn because I'm just the guy that's trying to figure out, is this therapy or counseling? Like, is there a difference?
For me, it's therapy is, I think counseling, I think of like a school counselor.
Okay.
Or somebody who's, a school psychologist. Therapy is, I see my clients on a weekly basis.
Yeah. Yeah.
More if they're higher acuity.
Sure.
But if, they have services, and these are kids who have, been in the system have been removed from their parents.
Yeah.
And
okay.
So for any number of reasons, that's a lot of what we do right now.
Okay. And so did you go to college to become a therapist?
Yeah, I went to, I graduated initially from Sac State, then ended up getting into APU for the graduate work, and finished my master's like in 2019.
Okay. No, great. I'm asking these things because I'm building. I'm just like, I need people to know you've got your master's. You're a therapist. You get on a plane. You fly to Georgia. You pick up your daughter. You're in the Jeep Patriot with the 3 grandkids, the daughter, the dogs. You're on your way back home, and you're thinking, okay, so this is just the next thing. They're going to move into my house, and we will slowly begin to pick up their pieces, right?
Exactly. And that's where I was. And I didn't, to be honest with you, I didn't give it a second thought.
Yeah.
As a father, that's what I think I should have done either way, regardless of how it affected me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you get home, you're in, how long are you back in your home, before you get some sort of notice that, hey, that you can't continue to stay there with the living situation that you're in?
About 8 months later. This was they got here in January, and this was all the noise started coming about in August of that same year.
In August. Yeah. And was it a surprise?
Yeah, I kind of thought it was from my perspective because they knew, we talked to them about it. But they didn't, it wasn't something they never accepted or, she was never put on the lease.
Okay. Wow. So, months go by, you suddenly start dealing with your landlord. You're starting to have conversations about they're going to evict you. Yeah. And so like, take me there, take me to where, when you realize, okay, wait a second, they're really going to do this. We're really going to get evicted. Kind of walk me through when you realized that helping your daughter would lead to eviction. What were those first few days like before you guys had to move out?
I still go back to the idea that I was doing what I was supposed to do as a father, and I was going to do at that point. My focus didn't necessarily come off of my daughter, but my focus came to my sons.
Okay.
I have 3 sons who are still at home.
Okay.
My daughter, even at that point, she was an adult.
Yeah.
So she had her own ability to do what she needed to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, we'll just ride the wave, go with the flow. I wasn't concerned at that point about. I didn't think what happened would happen.
Yeah. Well, and so tell us what happened.
Well, we were, of course, here in California, we could string out. I think they gave us the notice in March.
Okay.
Of that year, and we strung it out for 3 more months. We had a court date in June, and they, there was no way for us to. I knew that would happen. I knew that we would not have a place to stay, so we were basically, I want to say, given 30 days from after the court date to say, you get out.
Why did you know? Yeah. Why did you know that you wouldn't have a place to stay? Was it just hard to come across another place? Like, was it?
Well, no, I wasn't. I knew that we were going to be, well, I guess in that sense, I was just, at that point, knew that, my life isn't in my hands.
Yeah.
And I was trusting the one who held, I was trusting the 4th man in the fire, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I knew that was going to come about. And even at that point, I knew that something was going to work out.
Did you know that the liver is the 2nd largest organ in the body? That's right, 2nd largest. That's pretty big. It's responsible for over 500 functions in your body, but for some reason, the liver just gets no respect, like Rodney Dangerfield's like, can I get some respect? Over 30% of Americans have a sluggish liver. Did you know that's a problem? It's a problem that often goes undetected until the very last minute. That's why Dose is on a mission to educate us all on why it's so important to maintain your liver health, and has created an incredible product to do just that. Listen, if you're looking for a natural way to promote and maintain your liver health, I found a clinically supported, potent, and effective solution, and I can't wait to share it with you. It is Dose for your liver, formulated to cleanse your liver of unwanted elements, aid in digestion, and maintain your body's filter. Why in the world would this matter? Because your liver is the 2nd largest organ of your body, and again, responsible for over 500 functions. Dose's science-backed formula promotes liver function, aids in digestion, and it even eases bloating. This is what you got to do. Save 30% off your first month of subscription by going to dosedaily.co/Carlos or entering Carlos at checkout. That's dosedaily.co/Carlos for 30% off your first month subscription. Did you know that when your metabolism is working properly, you will feel the benefits in literally every single aspect of your life? And there is a tool that gives me the insights to create a healthy metabolism for my body. It's called Lumen. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's literally its tiny little device that measures my metabolism through my breath. That's right. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you a tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workout, sleep, and even your stress. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism. And then Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements that come from your breath. We are living in the future, people. Listen, because your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does, optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including what? Easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness, and all sorts of things. Lumen gives you recommendations to improve your metabolic health, and I love mine. Take the next step in improving your health. Go to lumen.me/Carlos to get 20% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/Carlos. Carlos for 20% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. Yeah. Okay. So, move out day happens, and kind of tell us about that first day where you guys had to make a decision that, oh, well, there's not a building that we're going to actually sleep in tonight.
Well, it was frustrating, and it wasn't something. I mean, I knew, like I said, I knew it was coming, so I wasn't shocked. I think at that point my wife was. I'll be honest with you. The vehicle we had at that time was a Fiat 500X, which is,
those aren't Suburbans.
Those are not Suburbans. They're not even a Explorer. So, we got our stuff out. Our stuff was in storage. Okay. We took what we needed, to change of clothes. Our son still had to go to school. I still had to go to work, as did my wife. And so we just went and took what we needed, what we could. We had I don't want to say a campfire stove, but a campfire hot plate, if you will, which we cooked off of, and we stayed in a park in our car. I think that lasted for about, I would say, close to 2 years.
How many years?
I'd say close to 2 years. It all kind of blends together. I don't know exact. It was
sure.
It was, I think it was 22 when we were evicted, and then we moved into the place. So maybe it wasn't 2. It was probably closer to a year and a half.
Yeah. And how old were your boys at that time?
They were 12, 8, and 9.
Okay, 12, 8, and 9. So
yeah.
So I think where I'm landing right now is like, in my head, you and your wife both are working.
Yeah.
You both have jobs.
Yeah.
Your 3 boys are all in school.
Mm-hmm. And
so like for the typical person that would see you at Walmart or just whatever, like you had a normal life in California, but you couldn't afford to stay in a home.
No, we couldn't. I mean, for a couple of reasons. One, because, to be, and that happened so quickly.
Yeah.
We didn't have time to, let me pull $2,000 out of savings.
Yeah.
To put a deposit. And realistically, even the lower level apartments in California, you're looking at $2,500, $3,000 a month. And so that wasn't, realistic for me. Plus, the what really was hurting us was the fact that we had that eviction on our record.
Yeah.
And that they hear that.
So you couldn't even get
they wouldn't even look at me. They wouldn't even, we put in applications. We had friends who, made suggestions, did certain things, trying to help us. All well and but nothing could happen. And I straight up, I told people, I said, hey, I have an income. I'm not poor, but because of the eviction on our record, nobody would even look at us.
Wow. That is, it's just mind blowing that, this is probably not something that's not normal in America. Talk to us a little bit about, I want to come back to your story in a second, but about before I started recording, you were telling me about how you'll work in schools, or just the crazy percentage of kids that are experiencing homelessness in some way, shape, or form in our public school systems.
It's incredible. I was when we were in one part, we were living in Ontario for a while, and I mean technically, but. So I was involved in the school site council at my kids' elementary school in one district. Now I'm involved in the school site council at the middle school in another district. The numbers are pretty much the same across the board,
really?
in terms of the amount of students that are experiencing some type of homelessness.
Yeah.
And it's really, really, I'm like, you look at all the other things that we see happening in our society and
Yeah.
people who have so much, yet at the same time, we have kids and they're the ones obviously that suffer because, when you're worried about where your next meal is going to come from, or even
Yeah.
if you got a place to sleep, how are
Yeah.
you going to learn?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just can't.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen.
And what do you have a number? It's like a percentage of numbers that you could give that of kids that are experiencing homelessness in some way?
In my son's elementary school, in Ontario, I'm gonna say probably out of a school of 300, I would say a good 15%. And that can be, I guess it depends on how they define homelessness, but that's they get that information from the surveys that parents fill out. So that comes, that's where it comes from. And realistically, I'm shocked every time I see the information. Probably in a middle school now of about, I don't know, 600, let's say. I would say probably 20%, because it's just not, I don't know.
Sustainable.
It's not sustainable because, they, have multiple families. We live in a community where there are a lot of immigrants and so there's people who are, working hard, doing what they have to do, selling tacos on the street, whatever they have to do to make it. And it's still, to give you an idea, based on the information from our district, our income is not bad. We pay our rent and we do what we need to do, but according to the standards that the district sees, it's like we still qualify for free lunch.
Really?
Yeah. And that because it's so expensive to live in California.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
no, that's incredible. No, thanks for sharing that with me. I would love for you to just take us through, you and your family is spending over a year in the Fiat, which just, again, is just mind blowing to me just to even think of that. Can you paint a picture for us of what an average day looked like during that time?
Well, for example, we would get the boys. I would come home from work. I usually took the bus or the train at that point. And then I would get home. They would pick me up. And we'd just go get in our parking space. And we were there right after that. Probably that was in the early evening. So we'd cook dinner if we could. We'd go and we use the McDonald's app a lot because they gave us, you get free stuff. So we got chicken sandwiches, whatever. Sometimes we do that. Sometimes we cook stuff, in the park if it was not bad weather. And then usually about 8:30, 9 o'clock when it started getting darker, the boys would get in and get situated. Now we couldn't do that. There's no way our boys would fit in that car.
How did you have it laid out for the evening for sleeping?
We had, in the back, in the trunk of the car, we had, a couple gym bags because gym bags were squishier than suitcases.
Yep.
So we would have the day's clothes for the kids and anything that we would need. And then those kind of acted as pillows for our kids. And then we had laid down the seat so they could lay down as scrunch up as that was. And so we usually had the two younger boys on the sides and our older boy in the middle, because when he was in the middle, he could stretch out through the middle, the division between the chairs. Yeah, yeah. And then that was it. And then we wake up. I usually had to start getting them up around 6,
Okay.
because from there we would go, because Walmart opened at 6.
Okay.
Okay. So we go use the restroom, clean up, get everybody ready for the day,
Okay.
and then begin the day, take them to school, go to work, and start the whole thing over again.
Yeah. And your wife was working as well, right?
Yeah. She's
Okay.
we were both working. I mean, it wasn't like we weren't, but it's just, that hang up. And so it was frustrating and challenging for us all the way around.
Well, so on the days where, how do you keep the hope going? Like how do you, you're 3 months in, your kids are probably, everyone's just like, okay, when's this going to end? Like, how are you guys keeping hope alive in that season?
Like I said, I knew, I knew it's not when because there were all kinds of people trying to help us.
Yeah.
People said, hey, I'll give you a down payment for a travel trailer. I mean, there were people willing to do that. And things that people were willing to help, but it just wasn't working. And I told my wife, I said, this isn't going to happen until God wants it to happen. This isn't going to change until God wants it to change. And I wasn't saying that like in a defeatist type of whatever. I'm like, I had seen God do so many other things in my life. I couldn't deny that he wouldn't do the same thing again.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I love that. That's a word somebody just needs to hear right now.
Yeah.
I love that. People often have stereotypes about homelessness. I know I have. Mm-hmm. What's something you wish more people understood about the experience of homelessness?
You're only one step away. In the world that we live in today, especially if you work for the government nowadays.
Yeah.
You're not safe. And so it's just, and it can happen to people. Thankfully, we were, like I said, we were both employed, so we could get food. We could go, rent a hotel room to take a shower, things like that. But in terms of, people who are on the street, what do you?
Yeah, with no income.
When we were at the park, we saw so many things. We saw, homeless people, homeless man, having mental issues that the police ended up taking to the hospital. We saw other people out in the grass area in front of us that were, I can't imagine, you think of a shopping cart. Well, these people had the, those carts, those wagon carts that were basically the size of a small love seat. And they pulled that around, and that was their life.
That was their life.
And that was just like that to me at that point, Tom, it also gave me a new perspective on homelessness. We see people all the time. But I guess overall, for somebody who is in whatever position they're in, they're just one step away because a lost job, medical issues, anything could happen that would take your job away, or downsizing, or, you don't send the email at the right time, then you're out of a job,
Right now, all of my merch is being hosted on a Shopify site, and I love Shopify because not only does it make it so easy for me to sell what I need to sell and what I want to sell, but also it lets me know all the data, and I feel so good about what Shopify is doing for my products. Right now, I'm selling my documentary on my Shopify site, and I see that the checkout is going so well. Like, I can see when people come in, when people are in my store, when people leave, if they leave without a product. It is so freaking cool. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Literally, nobody does it better. Home of the #1 checkout on the planet, and I can attest to it because I see it working. And the not so secret with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going on. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. That's right, Shopify works in all of those places. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that I use. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Carlos, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Carlos to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Carlos. Function is an all-in-one health platform that starts with over 100 advanced lab tests covering your entire body. Listen, your heart, you're going to find out about it. Your hormones, your liver, your kidneys, your thyroid, all sorts of things are measured through Function. A few of the reasons I love Function is that Function Health is about taking control of your health through data instead of guessing what's happening inside of your body. Function helps you know for sure, providing access to all of those advanced lab tests. Listen, these tests are the insights into all your body is doing. And also, like beyond traditional healthcare, most traditional annual checkups only cover about 19 biomarkers. Function Health goes 5 times deeper, giving a comprehensive view that allows you to catch potential issues early, and then you can be proactive with your health. Lifespans are decreasing, chronic conditions are rising, and cancer is becoming more common in younger people. Knowing what's happening inside is key to prevention, which is why comprehensive testing is so important. You can master your stress. You can figure out your food and your emotions. You can increase your motivation. All sorts of testing through Function is going to help you boost your metabolism, fat burning, all sorts of things that we have been forgetting. Listen, Function currently has a wait list, but they're offering my audience the chance to skip the wait list. Head to functionhealth.com/CarlosW or enter code CarlosW when signing up to skip the wait list. Head to functionhealth.com/CarlosW right now. Well, I think that's something that I'm getting is hearing your story is, as you sit there in your car and as you're living, and again, you're waiting on God's provision, you're waiting on that to happen and that timing, but you're also, the fact that you could look out of your car and see someone else that was worse off than you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, oh well, this is a blessing that we at least have we're enclosed in safety and somewhat, more so than the people that don't have a vehicle.
Exactly.
And so there's like even different levels there. Did you ever run into problems like from, city, parking there? Were they asking you to move? Like, did they not make it easy? Did they make it hard? What about that?
It's not as bad as it's made out to be. I mean, sure,
Okay.
I think the first time, there was one time where the police came and asked us to move. So
Yeah.
we moved to another area, another park
Yeah.
at that point for a night, but then we came back.
Okay.
And so, but the police were honestly very courteous and nice
They
in that
were.
sense of,
That's good to know.
let me say that to us.
Sure.
Because they saw, they
Kind of
we
your
were in the car.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they offered help. There are programs.
Okay.
You can get through what they call 211 out here in California, where you just call and the government can help you find a place. We did that. We did everything that we're supposed to do, but the one hang up again was that eviction, and we couldn't get rid of it. So that they were good to us.
That's great.
But the sad thing is, and I don't, I could see the homeless people out there. I don't know what their story was.
Sure.
I needed to have found that out. Because that was probably around the time I was reading How to Human.
Oh, wow. Did you read How to Human while you were living in the Fiat?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Well, the first time I read it again.
Okay. Yeah.
Because, and I actually have, when I decorated my office, the biggest sign I have says, "Be human, see human, free human."
Oh, no way.
Because if I could communicate that to my clients as well, because there's so many different levels where that encounters. But
Yeah.
anyway, I would see the homeless people, and I would see the police, the difference in the way they approached them as to how they approached me. And it was different. I felt it gave me a greater heart for people who are struggling, both economically and mentally. So, I saw that. We had one incident during our time there where someone came up and thought we were selling.
Wow.
I mean,
that's scary.
But we had, from the time that we were there, we were protected. We had, a knife and a baseball bat.
Yeah.
And so if I had to protect my family, I would have. Never had to, thankfully. So yeah.
Well, and again, for over a year, I mean, that's, that is some protection that you had.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So CityLink, you get connected with, tell us a little bit about how you finally got connected to where you found housing.
Well, the strange thing is that we had always gone, I actually, was a pastor at a church in Pomona, where we had your father come and speak.
Oh, that's right. I got that email.
And so that's what I was doing. And so we were always, raising my family. We were always part of the church. Even when I stopped being a pastor, I would go to church. That's what we did. And so, as a part of that, Saturdays or Sundays, when we're living in the park, what can you do? My wife took the car to go to work, so we were out playing in the playground.
Yeah.
And we're right next to the park we stayed in was right next to a church.
Okay.
And they said, my son, 8-year-old son said, "Hey Dad, let's go to church." And so at the same time, I was strong in my faith. I have to admit that it was a struggle at times where I don't, I just like that. I don't want to go to church.
Right.
But then we went to church, got connected. The pastor at that time there was opened the bathroom that they had for us to come in and take showers.
Oh, really?
And we got involved through that, and at that point we got connected. I sent a email to our senior pastor of the church that we were a part of, and I just said, "Hey, I'm not looking for a handout. I'm not looking for anything. I just want to be a part." Because at that time they were just in the middle of building CityLink was building a center. Originally, actually, right down the street from where we live now. And that was a homeless center where they would have showers. They have like 20 trailers, things like that. And so that really resonated with me because of what we had been going through.
Totally.
So, we've been involved in that. And then the pastor there connected us with the lady at CityLink who knew a real estate agent who was willing to rent to us. And that was really the issue. Like I said, they're really willing to rent to us. I don't care. I'm not, we lived in one town and we had to move to another, but I'm like, I don't, that's not a big deal for me. I want a place. So we got into this place where we're at currently in like September 23. And it won't, as long as they let us stay here, we're going to be here because, I guess I'm maybe suffering from a bit of PTSD from all of this, but
totally.
First thing I pay, whether we have anything else, is rent.
Is rent.
If you want to take our car, I don't care. So, we're here. We're still involved, in CityLink because.
And tell us what CityLink is again.
CityLink is it's a ministry of a local church whose pastors always had a vision for the homeless and unhoused, or people who are lower income. And so they have all kinds of stuff. They have a food bank. They have they give out food at least once or twice a week. They have like beginning of school year, they do backpacks.
Okay. So they're really out helping the community and the people that need it. And so the home that you're in now is that part of CityLink, or is it like owned by a ministry, or
it's owned by a private company, but it's administered by CityLink.
Okay.
So
great.
I mean I send my rent to the company. But if I were to have problems, like, if there were issues with, cops being here or something like that, then CityLink would have something to do with it.
Okay. No, great. While you guys were experiencing living in your car, like, did your work know? Did the kids' school know? Or was it something that you were trying to not let people know about?
My kids' school knew. Because that obviously greatly affects their performance. Yeah. Thankfully, at that time, our school district had just gone to free breakfast for everybody.
Okay. Wow. And those things that people don't realize really matter.
Yeah, and that's on it. To be honest with you, something that's really concerning for me now. Not so much for my family, because I can cook my kids some eggs. Before they go to school, but there's how many kids in my kids' school don't have that, and if that ever got taken away because of somebody got a horn, whatever, that's going to affect a lot of kids, and that's not their fault.
Totally.
So my kids at that time were getting breakfast, and so that wasn't a big issue for them overall.
Yeah.
Like I said, the pastor at the time at the church was willing to, let us come in. We get there early Sunday morning, get the kids in there, take a shower. They're ready for the week. You know?
Wow.
So,
wow.
That's when I really saw things. I mean, I've always seen God's hand, but I really saw things going to where, you're going to get a place,
Yeah, no, that's great. I don't know. Not only do I feel educated, but I do feel, almost. I feel a little unnerved at my lack of knowledge that it's. I think I know of a dentist that ended up living in his car for not a long period of time, and so I just want to say thank you for just being so vulnerable and sharing your story, because it really not only. Was it eye-opening to me, but it really gave me a little bit of a little pause to where I feel like there is more I can do for the unhoused in any city that I may be in. So for the listener that's listening right now going, okay, Joe, that's really mind-blowing that you both were working full-time, your kids were in school, you were living in your car. This doesn't make sense to me, but they have a heart to where they want to maybe help. What would you say to somebody that is feeling a pull to maybe help the unhoused or the homeless in their city? What would you say to them?
Find an organization that's doing something. I've always felt like why would we need to reinvent the wheel?
Yeah.
CityLink has been around for my case for many years, and will continue to be. So find an organization like CityLink, whatever community you're a part of. And understand, if you go in with the mindset that you don't know who you're going to see. I mean, it could be, you could see your dentist. You could see your, you find an organization that's doing something like what CityLink is doing and helping people. They have, different levels. You can get food, you can get the homeless. Can take showers there.
Yeah.
They have 20 trailers The next stage that they're building on is an apartment complex on that property, to help. So things like that, wherever you're at, there's anything out there. There's all kinds of religious and even non-religious. I'm not. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be church related, in my perspective. Because God has given us so much. And we have to be willing to help people, because He's told us they're always going to be there.
No, that's so good. And going back to the whole be human, see humans, free humans. I just hope that anyone that's watching this or listening to this, and you will pass by an unhoused person today, guaranteed you will. Make sure you see them. I just hear in your story how important it was for you to feel seen. And I just feel like that's even the first step you can do, is just make sure, don't look away. Look them in the eyes and just give a smile,
Yeah, definitely. And that's something that makes a difference. And understand too that, like we've said the whole time, you just don't know who's homeless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When I was homeless, when we became homeless, I had a bachelor's, 2 masters, and was pursuing a doctorate. So I was educated. Wow. I had income.
Yeah.
So you don't know. And so, be willing to see people where they're at. And honestly, sometimes it hurts, because you think, how can we live in such a nation and people are struggling in this way? Wow.
Well, Joe, thank you so much. This has absolutely been transformative, and you're just a freaking amazing guy. I'm so glad that we got to hang out.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for the opportunity. It was good to get back. Again, my condolences. You've had a lot of issues come up during the last week or two, and thank you again for that opportunity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you, Joe. How amazing was that? Hopefully you guys really enjoyed it as much as I did. What can you do today? What can you do today? Even not even the homeless population, to see somebody that you're not used to seeing. How can you do that for them? Thank you so much for listening to the Carlos Whittaker podcast, Human School Edition. And please subscribe to the podcast, share with as many people as you can, and I will see you next week.